I'd love to hear what you thought of this down in the comments below, and I'd also really love to know what you do to prepare in as little time as possible. But until next time, happy gaming. Well, that wasn't as hard as expected. It was barely even a challenge. I want a real challenge. I wonder how quick I could create an entire campaign. Greetings gamers, I'm Anto and I've been playing tabletop games for almost 20 years now. On this channel I make videos on how to be a better dungeon master, build deeper worlds and how to help you organise your D&D games. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. We recently passed 10,000 subscribers, which is an incredible milestone. Thank you to each and every one of you that has been watching and supporting the channel. There is a huge giveaway at the end of this video, so make sure to stick around to get your hands on hundreds of dollars worth of RPG goodies. Last year I made a video where I prepped a D&D adventure in just 1 hour and showed you all the tools that I used to do that. Well, since then, one of my most requested video topics has been what digital DM tools do I use? I didn't want to make another list video of the top 10 resources because there's a million of those on YouTube already. That's not what I'm about on this channel. I want to give you practical, actionable advice. So instead I thought I would show off all the tools that I use as a dungeon master to build my campaign world by using them to build a homebrew campaign world in a single day. Is this a terrible idea? Probably. Am I going to do it anyway? Of course I am. Now, obviously, this campaign world is not going to be super fleshed out or as deep as something like the city-states of Ashgaz, for example, but I'm confident that by the end of this madness that I'm going to be able to take a group of players and put them in this world and run at least a few sessions with the material that I come up with here today. My goal with this video is to show you that while you can spend weeks and months building up a deep homebrew world, you don't have to. You can put something together really quickly and then build the world as you go. Links to everything that I talk about today are going to be in the video description for you to check out. But for now, let's dive into it. My first step was to choose a platform to build this campaign in. I didn't want to do this in a single document or a handful of Google Docs because I was concerned that that would become really confusing and chaotic. I wanted something with easy linking, the ability to support map atlases, and something that I could use to share content with my players. I chose not to use OneNote here because it doesn't support the kind of map features I wanted, and sharing with OneNote is a bit of a nightmare. That narrowed my options down to what I was familiar with, which is Worldbuilding or Legendkeeper. I chose the latter because its super simple UI would stay out of my way while I was frantically building this campaign world. I've done a video reviewing Legendkeeper in the past, which I will link above. Now, Worldbuilding's many different form fields and options would probably have helped me ask some really good questions about my world, but I was worried that I would quickly get in the weeds and get stuck on noodly details that didn't make a huge difference to the actual campaign. So I dived into Legendkeeper and opened up a new project. This is where I had to use my first tool as I needed a name for my world. For a lot of the naming in this project, I used Fantasy Generator, which is an incredible resource for naming almost anything you could imagine. I loaded up the realm name generator, cycled through a couple of different options, and settled on Rasamar. The next step was to get a map for the Kingdom of Rasamar. Now, there was only really one choice here, and that was Azaga's Fantasy Map Generator. Asgard's Fantasy Map Generator gives you so much flexibility in terms of map size, type of world to generate, population density. You could easily spend a week tweaking the settings to make the perfect map, but even just hitting random is going to give you a pretty excellent result. You can use the generated map as it is, or you can use it for the foundation of a prettier map made in Wonderdraft or Incarnate. I generated a world map in Azaga, downloaded the worldwide image, and then zoomed into the region of Rasamar and loaded that zoomed in map into Legendkeeper to serve as my atlas. With my map loaded into Legendkeeper, I started adding some generic locations for some of the cities and towns. This is an approach I currently take for my sandbox game. I place markers for the locations, but I don't necessarily add the information for that location right away. Instead, I grab a list of place names, add them to that generic article so I have something to choose from if the players ask about it. That way I get a sense of all the geography without spending a long time on populating each element of the map. I only need to add details to the things that the players actually interact with. Next, I started thinking about Razamar's neighbour to the south. Again, I loaded up Fantasy Name Generator, but couldn't settle on anything I really liked yet, so I left the country with a placeholder name and moved on to other elements of the campaign setting. When you're doing something like this, the goal is to stay loose and quick moving. If you get bogged down on any individual element for too long, trying to come up with a name, for example, or figure out a plot element, it can totally break your flow. In general, I tried to spend no longer than about 10 minutes on any one element of this whole process. I broke this rule a couple of times, but trying to stick to it meant that I was able to keep a good pace of progress. So I moved on and started naming the bodies of water that surrounded Razamar. I didn't expect the campaign to take place on these seas, but I figured that adding as many small elements such as ocean or mountain names as I could would help me lend a sense of believability to the world, which makes it easier for me to come up with future details. With the map roughed out, I loaded up the workhorse of this project, which is the My Campaign generator on the Donjon website. This generator is based on Matt Coville's excellent My Campaign sheet and provides the spark for a lot of the ideas that will become central to this campaign setting. This sheet has a lot of the core information that's really essential for making a campaign that works, and it also has a lot of flavour information too, and the Donjon generator fills it all out for you so you don't have to do any work. I hit the refresh button a couple of times until something on the page started to jump out on me. What ended up catching my eye was the local evil boss, Gezu the Corrupted Silver Dragon. The name alone is super evocative and cool, and that was enough to make me choose that particular campaign sheet to base my world on. I downloaded a copy of the sheet to refer back to as I went on in the process, and moved on to the next step. It was here, a few hours into the process, where I hit my first wall. I decided to try and settle on a culture for Razamar. This led me down a rabbit hole of trying to find out what the word was based on, if it is based in any existing language, and then I got stuck on trying to make a Pantheon. I used Chaotic Shiny's Pantheon generator and copied the gods over, and then decided to rename them all to fit a culture that I didn't have yet. This led me to spending about 30 minutes with translators and various name generators trying to come up with a cultural reference point for my world. Eventually I had to take a break and recenter myself because I was going crazy with this whole process. When I returned to work, I decided to really narrow down my focus and build out the world based on the information in that My Campaign sheet. Start there and then expand. This was absolutely the right call. Narrowing my focus meant that I could work on getting usable details added to the world, including a few different locations such as towns, rivers and roads, and now I knew where the campaign would start. The My Campaign sheet has a few recommended gods on it, and I made a Pantheon section in Legendkeeper and added those to it. The thing I like most about this particular generator is that it's simple but evocative, which is exactly my style. Penail the Phoenix, for example, the god of life, is a strong core image for a deity. I changed the name of the god from Penail, which was a bit difficult for me to pronounce off the top of my head, and settled on Penacht, which is when everything clicked into place regarding the culture of this world. Penacht is a Welsh word meaning top of the hill, and choosing this as the name for the god really helped me to decide on Welsh being the cultural default I would turn to when I needed it. This meant anytime I was stuck on a name and wanted to translate something, I would use Welsh, or if I wanted to reference a real world event or practice, Welsh and Wales would be my go-to. From here, I built out the rest of the limited Pantheon based on the information in the My Campaign sheet. The next step was to build the starting town. To begin, I copied all the core information from the My Campaign sheet into the article for Headale, the starting town for this campaign, and started linking articles for the NPCs and shops referenced. I used npcgenerator.com to generate a few additional NPCs to add some colour to the town, and I used the town generator on Kassoon to get the mechanical information for the town, such as population and list of notable businesses. For the map of the town, I used Watabu, the medieval city generator. I've made a few different videos on this generator in the past, which I'll link to below, but it's the best resource out there for getting a quick settlement map. I loaded the map into Legendkeeper and started adding pins for the confirmed locations, such as a tavern, a church, a few different shops, and I also added markers to note where several of the NPCs lived. While I was adding the shops to the map, I loaded up the D&D shop catalogue from Reddit. This is a great list of tables that breaks down all the mundane items in 5e and categorises them into different vendors and how likely you are to find a certain item in a rural location versus a metropolis, for example. This gives me a very quick and easy list of items that a vendor would have for sale if the players visit that particular vendor. And finally, I used the NPC maker on RPG Tinker to add some stats to some of the key NPCs in town. With the town roughed out, it was time to think about the starting adventure. I did consider going straight in for the Spear of Agam, one of the items listed in the My Campaign sheet, but I decided against it because it's the MacGuffin for our big bad evil guy, Gezu the Corrupted Silver Dragon, and I think it's best to hold that back. But I did want the players to get involved with that plot as soon as possible, so I decided the first adventure would see the players deal with a plot by the Cult of Agam. Now, the Cult of Agam is a group of evil dragonborn who worship the chaotic evil deity Agam. I decided that he would be the Chaos Dragon to fit this theme, and it also ties in with Gezu, the regular dragon. This choice also adds a little bit of drama to the world, because now people in the world will assume that any dragonborn they meet is going to be a worshipper of Agam, the Chaos Dragon. This is particularly relevant for our starting town because the local cleric is a dragonborn named Seralath. Seralath is a worshipper of Penacht, but I imagine he has to fight against that stigma of the Cult of Agam all the time, maybe his entire life. Now, maybe our players would even be suspicious that he's a devil agent, which is, again, great drama. So for our starting adventure, the Cult of Agam have committed a ritual murder and raised a shadow which is wreaking havoc in the town. To add a little extra depth to this, the starting adventure is going to take place during some kind of holiday. I headed over to Chaotic Shiny again and loaded up their holiday generator and found one I like the look of. Riraxa is a winter festival dedicated to Seril, the Dark One, the goddess of the storm and one of the deities mentioned in the My Campaign sheet. Setting this first adventure during the holiday adds a little extra world building to our campaign and helps sell this as a real world to our players that has real things happening in it. With the adventure concept sorted, I needed a battle map. If this took place in a dungeon or cavern, I would have used the generator on Donjon, but as it's taking place outside around several buildings, I fired up Dungeon Draft and spent just over 10 minutes throwing together a simple encounter map, which I loaded into my planning article in Legendkeeper. Now, with the town and local area sorted, I took a step back and did a little more work on the wider world. I decided on Razomar's monarch, King Philip Exeter, and decided that the principal religion of Razomar would be Penacht, the Phoenix. To get my wider central tension, I decided that the nation to the south needed to worship a deity opposed to Penacht. I settled on Alat, the Keeper of Masks, and named the lands to the south the Crimson Vale. And there we have it, the foundation of a campaign world built in a single afternoon. This is by no means a finished campaign setting, but it is more than good enough to get started. We've got the two nations of Razomar and the Crimson Vale with opposing beliefs. We have a sense of our geography, we have a limited Pantheon to add some flavour to our world, and we have our local area complete with Starter Town and a local big bad where we can put our players to start the campaign. From here you could run your first session and then begin to expand the world using any of the tools we've talked about here today. Now, this was a pretty interesting experiment for me. I usually spend quite a long time working on my worlds, so it was really interesting to see just how solid a core idea I could get with just some random generators and a single afternoon. It took me about 3.5 hours to get to this point, which is actually less time than I've spent preparing a single session in the past. Now, I did have my list of sites and tools ready to go beforehand, which definitely saved me some time on having to do a lot of Googling. But I hope that this has showed you how you can use some of these tools as a Dungeon Master to help you build your worlds more quickly. And hopefully it's introduced you to some new tools and sparked some inspiration in you. Even if you don't use all the ideas a randomly generated resource throws at you, sometimes it can take you in a direction that you would never have gone down on your own. Now, at the start of this video, I mentioned a giveaway, and boy, Is it a big one? I passed 10,000 subscribers last month on my birthday, which was amazing, and I am immensely grateful to each and every one of you that watches my videos, shows your support by liking and subscribing, and tells me about your games and experiences down in the comments. And there are more than 10,000 people in this community now, and I have so many plans for amazing things in the future, but I wanted to give something back. So I'm running this huge giveaway. There will be multiple winners for this giveaway, and to enter, all you need to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment down below this video. Now, the first place winner is going to get a copy of Fantasy Grounds Unity, which is my preferred platform for running RPGs online, and they're also going to get a copy of the Player's Handbook and Monster Manual in Fantasy Grounds, which is going to give you everything you need to get up and running and give you a great platform to build up from. The winner is also going to get a copy of Wonderdraft, the world map making tool that I've been raving about for the last year, and a copy of Dungeon Draft, the battle map making software that I have recently reviewed. I'll leave a link up there. They're also going to get an invitation to the Legendkeeper beta, allowing you access to the app that I use throughout this video to give you the ability to track your campaign. And they're going to get a huge selection of resources that I've made over the years, including NPC cards, one-page adventures, maps, factions, and more. The second place winner will get a copy of Fantasy Grounds Unity, as well as a copy of the Player's Handbook and Monster Manual supplied by Smiteworks, the folks behind Fantasy Grounds. The third place winner is going to get a copy of both Wonderdraft and Dungeon Draft, courtesy of Megasploit, the creator of those two programs. And then 25 runners-up are also going to get access codes to Legendkeeper and access to everything that I've released on my Patreon during the month of May. In total, there's well over $500 worth of digital content up for grabs here, spread across all the categories, so make sure to subscribe and leave your comment down below for your chance to win. I will be picking a winner randomly on Tuesday, June the 30th, so you've got plenty of time to share this video around with anyone that you think might want to enter. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, links to everything I use for this project are down in the description box below, just past the like button, so make sure to give that a click on your way through. But until next time, I need to lie down. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all my new releases. I release new videos every other Friday. You'll find more videos just over here, and if you enjoy what I do, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Just $5 a month gets you access to loads of extra content to use in your RPG campaigns. But until next time, happy gaming.